Welcome, good evening, good afternoon, good morning. I can see people with different time zones. I'm just assuming. And this is Maneesh Vijaya from PM Pulse, and this is the sixth edition of Webinar Weekday. I might have a little bit of sonorous sound. That's because I'm just coming out of an illness, and don't worry, it was not Corona. Don't worry about it. I just had an allergy, and I'm getting back. I have a little bit of a sinus issue, and I'm just kind of getting better. In fact, I got a lot better in a week, and that's the reason why you're hearing a bit of a nasal sonorous sound. Anyways, in this particular episode, we're going to talk about the 20 scenario-based questions. Now, all the questions over here are going to be scenario-based, and I'm going to show you how to answer, how to approach these kind of questions. All of these questions are quite close to the kind of questions that show up on PMP exams. All right, time for us to get started. What is the purpose of this webinar? Okay, why did I go ahead with this? There are too many suspicious sources of PMP practice questions, and people post all kind of examination questions on the various forums of PMP that I am, and I see horrible questions. Forget about their answers being incorrect. I'm talking about the questions itself being rather horrible, right? So that's one of the reasons why I really wanted to come forward and give away as many questions and also show you how to actually approach them. Even if questions are good, explanations are missing, right? That's what I've been seeing. Guidance to show how to answer questions and help you practice some PMP questions right in my presence. And that's why we call it 20 guided PMP questions. My purpose is ensuring that you get some quality and curated questions for practice and explanations. All right. So that's how it's going to benefit you. Let's get started. What is the scope of this webinar? Well, it's your PMP journey and basically helping you with understanding scenario questions by actually attempting some of those. All right, time for us to get started. Question number one. Now, here's what we're going to do. I'm going to read out the questions because some of you might be joining up in a small screen like a cell phone or something. You may not be able to see the text, so I'll just read it. But at the same time, try and answer the question as fast as you can. Now, how would you answer the question? If you look up, if you take the cursor up, you would find a place called, a Q&A, right? Just Q&A. And if you click on that, you can just write for each of the questions because each slide has only one question. So when you look at the question, just type the answer and that answer should be A, B, C, D. You don't have to write like schedule baseline or something like that. No, that's too much work. Just write A, B, C, or D, right? So let me start reading it with you. And let me change the pointer option to laser pointer so that you can actually follow exactly what I'm talking about. You are taking over a project that is currently in planning stage. The previous project manager worked with the team to finalize the process of defining activities, and you joined the team at the end of this process. The next process requires determination and documentation of the relationships among project activities of the following, which is a tool and technique used in this process. And let's look at your answers, guys, before I show you the answer. Okay, not bad. Just a few more. Come on, guys. You got to be fast. And trust me, nobody else can see your answers, okay? Only I can see it. So in case you're worried that, hey, I may be wrong, somebody might see my answers. No, this is webinar. So when you write a Q&A, it's only visible to me, nobody else, all right? Now, we've got, for the people who have answered, right, some people are still withholding, not a problem. Don't worry about it. You see, the question has to be read like this. So what is it that we are in? So it's very clear, and this is the reason why you need to be good with ETOs. Scenario question is the reason why you need to be good with ETOs. When I say ETOs, it is input, tools, and techniques, and outputs. So, sorry. So when I say something like this, that you're taking over a project that is currently in planning stage, and the previous project manager worked with the team to finalize the process of defining activities. That means you've already finished because it says you joined the team at the end of that process. That means the a process called define activities is done, and the very next process is called sequence activities. So definitely you are in sequence activities, and they've been given some kind of a hint that exactly what you're doing. And if you look at, schedule baseline, cannot be a tool and technique because it's an output of developed schedule. Activity list is an output of the process which is already finished, which is called define activities. So these A and C are completely gone. And when we talk about D, it's decomposition. Decomposition is a tool and technique of only two processes. One of them is called create WBS, and the other one is called define activities. And therefore, the tool and technique, right, which is the part of the sequence activities, is called dependency determination and integration, right? So some of you got it right. So this is the thinking process. That's why I want you guys to understand how scenario questions have to be approached and why is it so important for us to be good at ETOs. Now, do we need to mug them up? Of course not. You should have a general idea about each of the processes, and that's it. You see, and let me give you a very good advice. If you're not able to find the answer directly, there is another way. Eliminate the answers, right? The ones that just don't fit in by giving all kinds of logic that you have. And the one that you cannot eliminate, most probably that's going to be your answer. All right, cool. Let's move on. Very well done, guys. Not bad. Okay, that's the explanation I just told you. So let's just kind of get out of this and go on to question number 2. All right, so let me read it with you. You are the project manager in a pharmaceutical company, and wait a second, and you are involved in managing stakeholders' engagement to satisfy their needs and addressing any issues as they are identified. In this context, which of the following is not a relevant output? So you need to really figure out, where are you? Right? The most important thing about scenario-based question is, hey, which processes are we talking about? Where are we right now in this scenario? And once you do that, then concentrate on, hey, what should be the output, and therefore which is not an output, because this is an exception question. Which of the following is not an output? So three of these options are an output of the process, whichever you find out, right? One of them is not. So you need to figure out which one is that. Let's have a look at your answers, guys. I'm sorry for the sound effects. I'm much better, a whole lot better, but I think it's just a little bit of remnants of cough remaining. All right, so we've got answers all over the place. All right, finally we got one. Okay, another one. Not bad, not bad. All right, okay, cool. Be careful, guys, because let me show you what it is, right? So first of all, if I ask you, you're the project manager in a pharmaceutical company and you're involved in managing stakeholders' engagement. It actually is the name of the process itself. It is managing, manage stakeholder engagement, because just before it, you have a process called plan stakeholder engagement, and then you execute it, right? And what's the output? You got some project document updates, you got change requests, and of course, change requests is an output of 70% of the processes. So 24, actually, sorry, to be very clear, 24 processes. So it's very easy to find almost majority of the process to have change requests. And stakeholder management plan, project management plan updates. Well, that could happen, right? This is like pretty run of the mill. But if you look at stakeholder management plan, well, it is something which is made before this particular process, right? The actual name is stakeholder engagement plan. Well, sometimes the PMP exams may change it because it's actually a management plan. We can call it engagement plan, doesn't really matter, right? It's the same stuff, but it is done in a previous process. And therefore, this cannot be an output here. And this is actually going to be an input of the process called managed stakeholder engagement, right? So this is the reason why you need to be logical when it comes to ETOs, right? You don't have to mug it up, because if you mug up, they even change the terminology. You just need to understand. You just need to know. You need to have a general logical ideas about ETOs, right? That's why I hate mugging up. It's very easy. Trust me. Just kind of. So I wanted you guys to really experience why ETOs are so important. But you don't need to mug up, and see, just the moment I explain to you, hey, what's really happening, it suddenly becomes very logical, right? Okay, let's continue, right? And I'm really impressed. Quite a few people got it right. This is not one of those easy questions, right? Okay, let's continue and take it a notch higher. And let's also look at a wordy question. I'm going to read it out with you guys. Question number 3. Alberto is the project manager of a software implementation project. His company has made an organization-wide decision to move to a new accounting and human resources software package. He has read that some projects to implement the same package have resulted in the loss of personal data when they try to import it into a new system. He backs up the data so that it could be restored in the event of such a problem, but also buys insurance to cover the cost of keying in the data manually if the implementation doesn't work. Which response strategies are Alberto using? And you got A, B, C, and D. All right. So, you need to approach it in stages, right? Stage number 1, are we talking about an opportunity or a threat? And once we know it's a threat, we can zero in out on the specifics of, threats, and then figure out which one fits in best. All right. So far, okay, one wrong, but so far, almost all of us are correct. Not bad, not bad, not bad. Yep, you guys are right. It is mitigating, right? And then we are transferring. Mitigating simply means that you reduce the probability or you reduce the impact. And of course, you're taking the insurance. So you're trying to transfer some of the load of, hiring a lot of people to key in the data. The money needs to come from somewhere. So you even created an insurance for the same. Not bad. Very well done, guys. And, the explanation is the same. I'm just doing it. So, yeah, they probably don't have to read the whole thing. I'm so sorry, guys. Let me drink something. I would have hoped it was vodka, but instead I just got water. So I've got to make do with that. All right, let's continue. Question number 4. The project you're managing has had many customer requested requirements changes. Communication and control of the main supplier was a challenge as well. Almost all of the supplier's deliverables were late, resulting in cost increases of 32% and delays of 2.5 months. No deliverables from any other supplier were late. While preparing closeout documentation, you discover that the unreliable supplier is a company owned by the senior director's brother. What do you do? Let's answer this question. Sorry, guys. All right. So, yeah, I got a few things. Yeah. All right. But so far, all are incorrect. Okay. All are incorrect so far. All are incorrect. Every single one of you. Yeah. All of it. Now, because this is a way, because people are looking at this question and they're thinking that, hey, man, somebody is not performing. We need to complain. We really need to do something about it, right? Okay, so, okay, somebody also went for A, saying freezing the requirements for the remainder of the project. Well, that's not really helping because none of the questions says that you can freeze the requirement because, if the customer, these are customer requested requirements change. So I'm not too sure if you can tell the customer, hey guys, I'm not going to do any more changes, right? So you got to be very careful. My suggestion is maybe you're reading the question incorrectly. I mean, you are reading the whole question, but you're not seeing the huge problem that this is. And this is an amazing question that shows up in PMP exam, because what you see right in front of you is a serious crime taking place, and you did not actually focus on the crime. There is a crime here. People go to jail for these kind of activities, and this is what is known as conflict of interest. Because you see what has happened is that while preparing closeout documentation, you discover that the unreliable supplier is a company owned by the senior director's brother. And they've given you a pretty good idea that the other suppliers, none of them got delayed, which means it points to the direction that there could be a very serious chance that this particular, what I call the vendor, unreliable vendor, did not go through the proper channels. Right? So this is too much of a coincidence, right? So others are not doing it because they might have gone through a proper channels, right? So the right answer is C. Notify. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Good. Some of you had gotten it. Yeah. Not bad. Very nice. Very nice. Notify, the earlier first few people had got it absolutely wrong. All right. So notify the appropriate management in it immediately of a potential conflict of interest. Now, this is it's a crime, right? It's a crime. People go to jail for this, right? So very well done, guys. I saw 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Five people got it absolutely right. This was brilliant. Fantastic. Not bad, guys. All right. So I hope you got the explanation right. This is it. Because you have to be careful about the conflict of interest. Now, let me tell you, every time they talk about procurement, along with procurement questions, they will also try to squeeze in questions about conflict of interest. The reason they do it is because, procurement around the planet has given rise to the maximum amount of corruption. So yes, there is corruption in the world, but most of it is around the concept of procurement. That's why the laws keep on changing and keep on trying to plug the loopholes, right? So not bad, guys, not bad at all. Very impressive. Yeah. And some of us who got it wrong, don't worry, you did it in front of me, right? And no problems. Question number 5. As the project manager of a large project, you have just completed the estimate cost process. As you begin the determine budget process, which of the following would you require as inputs? All right, let's have a look at the answers. This should be quick. It's almost like this is a very short scenario. It's almost like asking, hey, what are the inputs of this particular process, right? That's it. Okay. Yeah. So you need to be good. So, you need to understand, like, hey, what really happens before determine budget? So all of us, I'm pretty sure, let me change the pointer option to pen. I think it's more convenient that way. Each of you know that this process that we are currently in is determine budget, right? And this one actually produces the scope baseline. So that's cool. But what happens before it, right? There is a process called the estimate cost, right? So there is a process called estimate, because it says you just completed the estimate cost. So what is the output of the process called estimate cost, which actually becomes a direct input to determine budget? And that's it. And the answer is actually A, alpha, right? So let me see how many of you got it right. Okay, some of us got it wrong. Not bad. Fantastic. Yeah. Okay. In fact, not many answered it. So yeah. So activity cost estimates and basis of estimates. Let me tell you something. There are 3 different estimates. One is called duration, cost, and resources. Each of these estimates by default, any process which has any kind of an estimate as an output, by default will also have basis of estimates. So that's a killer, right? You don't even have to kind of, mug up, right? Or remember, for that matter, it's like just a default setting. So you've got estimate, basis of estimate. It's like cookie and milk, right? It's just like that. Okay. All right. So question number 5, well done. Not bad. Let's move on to question number 6. Let me read it with you. And let me change the pointer option to laser pointer. This one is slightly smaller in font because it's a wordy question, so I'm going to read it with you. The installation project has a CPI of 1.03 and an SPI of 1.0. There are 14 team members, and each team member had input into the final project management plan. The customer has accepted the 3 deliverables completed so far without complaint, and the responsibility assignment matrix has not changed since the project began. The project is being completed in a matrix environment. and there are no contracts needed for the project. Though the sponsor is happy with the status of the project, one of the team members is always complaining about how much time his project work is taking. Which of the following would be the best thing for the project manager to do? All right. Now, this is a pretty good question, actually. This is one of my personal favorites, right? So, have a look at the options, and the answer may actually surprise you. Yeah, this is one of my favorite questions, actually. Not bad. Some of you got it absolutely right. Okay. I know one of the guys why he got it right. All right. I know why he got it right. Okay. All right. All right. Not bad. So quite a few of us kind of went on a tangent here, but it is a difficult question. Okay, not bad, not bad. Yeah, I really like that. Somebody actually gave an explanation, the reason for her answer, and she went on to say, "Hey, project is going on well, so no need for improvement." I mean, this is the way I really want you guys to look at. Yeah, there's no improvement needed, right? So, yeah, and that means if everything is going on fine, and there are, though the sponsor is happy, you see, not only the project is going on well. She said that by looking at CPI and SPI, pretty cool actually. And on top of that, the sponsor is giving good vibes, you see. And there's just one person cribbing. What does that mean, right? Maybe that person doesn't feel that there's anything in it for him, and therefore, none of these things really, A is not an option. Meet with the customer to try to extend. Why would you meet with the customer? Because the sponsor is happy. The CPI, you're not going behind schedule. Your SPI is right on schedule, and you are under budget. CPI of 1.03. So B is also not possible, and gain formal acceptance in writing from the customer. Well, this does not even actually make any sense in this whole thing, right? So the right answer is review the reward system for the project, because it seems just one guy is scripting, right? So I really like the logic with which the lady actually talked about. Very well done, guys. Fantastic. I really like this kind of an approach. This is the, basically, what scenario question does. Scenario question does not only test PMI, does not only test your ability, right? So, yeah, I'll talk about that. I'll talk about that for sure, like how to approach lengthy questions. Definitely, right? Right. Uh, Absolutely, absolutely. You got it, right? So I'm going to talk about it at the end, definitely. But what you need to do, what you need to also understand is that in PMP exams, they not only test your ability of PMP, they also want to see as a as a professional, do you have the logical thinking? Do you also work with data sufficiency? In management, we have something known as data sufficiency, right? So that's all is mixed into it. So these are pretty brilliant questions. Like, these are some of the good questions that you get, right? I wish all the questions are like this, to be very honest. I mean, that would really make a good professional out of people, right? So not bad, guys, not bad. See, some of us get it wrong, so don't worry about it. That was the whole purpose of this webinar, right? So as I said, these are free, but they are not low on value, right?
In case you're looking for the best books available for PMP preparation, well, just move on to Amazon site, amazon.com.in, all sites, and search for Read and Pass Notes, or just type my name. And you will come across 3 books on PMP. Let's talk about Read and Pass Notes for PMP exams, covering all knowledge areas. It's the most interesting book on PMP ever written. It's got real world explanations. People from all domains and industries can read it. Over 900 hand drawn illustrations to make it interesting, to make the information retain, and to understand even complex topics easier. Ninja drills after each and every knowledge area to make sure that you revise all important topics just before exams. And it also provides access to PMP Exam Simulator, one of the best simulators in the industry as of now. Then comes the PMP Ninja Notes. This is again from Read and Pass Notes. It's absolute PMP readiness notes. It's not a full course. All the important definitions, all the important concepts, easy to remember tips and tricks, most powerful source for PMP, all provided in one small book. The most powerful book for exam readiness, and it's available at Amazon, all sites. The last one, the third book, is Master Your Ethos from Read and Pass Notes. This one is dedicated only about ethos. There's a lot of misconceptions about ethos, input, tools and techniques and outputs, and this book actually puts to rest all those myths. Only one of its kind book destroys all myths and misunderstandings about ethos. The most important ethos, the most regularly showing up in exams ethos are covered over here. Easy to remember, explanations, and a must for acing scenario questions. And just to let you know, nearly 80 to 85% of all PMP examination questions are scenario based. Search for Read and Pass Notes on Amazon, all sites, and you'll find these books.
So question number 7. Sam has been assigned to building a new office facility for his organization. Sam finds out that there are a big number of key stakeholders that are neutral to the project. Sam's stakeholder management strategy must focus on, and these are the options. Have a look at the options. Not bad. Okay. Okay, cool. Love this. Love this. Awesome. Awesome. Fantastic. For whoever kind of answered, all of them got it right? So, I'm sorry. I think I forgot to put the, what do you call, the animation here. So let me just get the pen out. Yeah, the answer is the converting these neutral stakeholders, because you need to understand that these are key stakeholders, right? So if they were not key stakeholders, basically, let me just remind you, if you are using the power and interest kind of a thing, right? So these are the key stakeholders: high power, high interest, just to make sure that your definition is correct, right? So if these are your key stakeholders, they are high power, high interest. So not only they have a high interest, right? They have a lot of power in the project. They can get a lot of things done in the project. And therefore, you need their back. And it is worth the effort to actually convert these neutral stakeholders into supportive, because you can actually distribute work to them. They can actually, pick up some of the load that you have. You don't have to carry all the load alone. So that's the reason why. So you need to know why key stakeholders, who are key stakeholders, and why you should work so hard to convert neutral stakeholders to supportive stakeholders, right? So I kind of missed out the animation here. Sorry for that. So that's the whole idea, and the entire explanation is written here. But I'm so sorry, guys. But I'm almost completely recovered, in case you're wondering. And don't worry, I'm actually wearing a mask while I'm talking to you, so you're safe. Yeah. All right. That was a bad joke, right? That was a horrible joke. Okay. All right. Okay. All right. Okay. All right. So, wait a second. There's a question. Yeah, absolutely. No, but here's the thing, Shifa. When you talk about project success depends on supportive stakeholders, you need to know that we don't need the supportive stakeholders. We don't need to make supportive stakeholders of everybody. So, for example, if we have high power, low interest, we don't want them as supporters. Yeah. So you need to be very careful, right? People who are low power, low interest, there's no point. And there are people who are low interest, high interest, low power. They just need information. So you need to be, you're right, but there are specific kind of stakeholders which need to be, made supportive. Others, we have different strategies. All right. Not bad. So let me get back to my pointer option of laser pointer, and let me get back. You are managing a project with 23 team members and 6 key stakeholders. 2 team members identify a problem with the current approach. Addressing that problem will require changes to the project plan and its subsidiary plans. One of the stakeholders previously indicated that any delays are unacceptable, and your team members tell you that it's possible the change could cause the team to miss at least one critical deadline. What is the best way to deal with the situation? All right, I'm going to wait for the answers. Okay, not bad. Here's the funny part about this particular question. This question actually says, the best way to deal. That means that barring maybe one, there will not be an absolute wrong answer. There could be one which could be absolutely wrong answer, but others may not be. And therefore, you have to figure out the one that actually makes the most sense at this point of time from whatever information we have, right? So, okay, not bad, not bad. Okay, so the correct answer is B. Now, why is that a correct answer? See, analyze the impact that change will have on the work to be done, the schedule and the budget, right? So basically, yeah, uh, over here it says that, and your team members tell you that it's possible to change could cause the team to miss at least one critical deadline. So here's the thing: they're only talking about if it. Some of you may assume that some kind of impact analysis has already been done. Well, it's not. It's just a suggestion made, and in fact, there's no impact analysis done. People are only looking at schedule. But what about the cost? What about the work, right? So we need to really find the impact. And then probably you'll do other things, right? So for example, make the change to the project. Well, that needs approval, right? So in order to have an approval, you need to go to CCB. And in order to go to the CCB, you need to know, hey, how does it affect your project, right? Now, let's look at C, gather consensus among the team that you should make the change before approaching the stakeholders. Now, you need to be careful because the teams never decide whether a change has to happen or not. The best they can do along with the project manager is to let the CCB know. CCB stands for Change Control Board. So C looks like a very goody-goody things, the right thing to do, but it's actually wrong because you need a CCB to make the changes. So their consensus is not going to give us anything. So you need to be careful. This kind of is a disguised trap. It feels as if you're doing the right thing, but there is no CCB here, right? So this is wrong. So actually, if you look at it, the correct answer and the best answer is analyze the impact. All right. So these are the questions which will actually take a bit of your time. So you need to do, you need to read it very well. And again, as I told you, these kind of questions, of course, ethos is one part of it, but data sufficiency is a big part of these kind of questions. So in those college days, when you did those entrance exams and talked about data sufficiency, well, now is the time to get it back. All right. Not bad. Absolutely. So you have to do impact analysis before, right? And that's the reason why, let me go back to the question. Somebody asked a question, and that's the reason why we are doing this, right? Because they didn't even talk about any change, right? And nor over here, they've given enough information that they have done any kind of impact analysis or they're trying to approach something. It's just a problem that they're facing is a CR and they need to do something about it, all right? So it's like that. All right, so let's move on to question number 9. An experienced project manager has just begun working for a large information technology integrator. Her manager provides her with a draft project charter and immediately asks her to provide an analysis of the risks on the project. Which of the following would best help in this effort? Sorry. Okay, not bad. That's pretty good. Okay, not bad, not bad. All right, good, 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 good. So some of you got it right. Not bad. Well, yeah. Not bad. I really like that concept, right? Expert judgment, not bad. See, the point is, I mean, I really like, and there's not much explanations here, but a lot of people did not answer at all. So this explanation I'm going to say is for them, right? You see, the question here shows that, they're right at the beginning of the project. The project charter is not really made. It's just a draft of our project charter. So they're literally at initiation, right? And planning is going to happen much later. So at this early stage, how can you really get risks, right? So had there been some historical data or something, well, that could also be an answer. But right now, among the option provided, at such an early stage, the best bet is talk to somebody who'd done a similar project in the past, and treat them as an expert judgment, and seek their guidance, and that's going to help, because for this particular project you've not even started planning. So not bad, not bad. All right, let's move on to question number 10. A project manager is faced with two members who have conflicting opinions. One team member explains her side of the conflict and presents a possible solution. But before the other team member starts to explain his side of things, the project manager says, I've heard enough and I've decided to go with the solution I've heard. This is an example of okay, very nicely done, right? So this guy is very much like me. Force your way through, my way or the highway. I'm just kidding, man. So yeah, that's right? So this is one of the ways of taking a decision or handling a conflict. It's not the best, but at least something is getting done. The worst is actually withdrawal, when you don't actually participate at all, right?
Welcome to PM Dhwani, the very first audio platform dedicated entirely to project management. All you have to do is open the browser and type dhwani.pm-pulse.com. It's loaded with certain packages. Some of the most important packages is ETOs, an entire package dedicated to understanding ETOs, input tools and techniques and outputs on PMBOK. It's the best utilization of time. You can listen to it anytime, anywhere, doing whatever that you feel like. Specially made for retention through listening. And it's bit-sized audios, so that you don't have to listen to huge audios before you can make any sense. They've been cut down into bit size so that you can focus on specific aspects before moving on to the next audio. The other important package you should be aware of is PM Ninja. These are Ninja Notes in audio platform. They contain the most important tips and tricks, notes, important definitions, concepts, calculations, which are really popular in examination. And basically, it's a PM Ninja, PMP, Readiness notes in audio format. All you have to do is go to dhwani.pm-pulse.com and start listening to these audios.
It's question number 11, and I'm going to read it with you. You've been hired by a large consulting firm to evaluate a software project for them. You have access to the CPI and EV of the project, but not the AC. The CPI is 0.92 and the earned value is 172. What am I doing? 172,500. So how much money has actually been spent on the project? Now, this is basically not a very good scenario question. It's probably got more to do with basic calculations, right? So give it your best shot. It's like those school days algebra-based questions. Oh, thanks a lot, Shripa. These kind of comments really help because I worked hard, but when somebody says something like this, it kind of thank you. Thank you so much. Thanks a lot. Thank you. Thank you very much. All right. So let's have a look at the answers. So all you have to do is, let me change the pointer option to pen. So all you have to do is, okay, CPI. What does the CPI formula stand for, right? It stands for EV, the thing is divided by AC. And it says the CPI is 0.92, right? It's already provided. I'm sorry, it's a really bad handwriting. All right, so yeah, it's my mouse handwriting. Okay, horrible. So now we know the value of EV, but we don't know the value of AC. So either I can take it this side or I can bring it this side. So ultimately what's going to happen is you are actually going to ultimately multiply the two, and it's going to become C. It's not going to be alpha, it's going to be C, right? This is what's going to be the answer, right? So how do you calculate? But this is basic algebra, right? So if at all you got it wrong, that's because of the algebraic, combination. So basically, if this is the answer, right? So if you flip the formula around, basically what's going to happen is you end up kind of, sorry, my mistake, dividing with less than 0.2. Sorry, my mistake. You'll have to end up dividing it, right? And therefore, it'll become 187,500, right? So if you go back here, it is this one, at 187,500. Right, so basically, you get at least one question on earned value like this. I don't know why they do it, but it's always there, right? It's there for some reason. Either they'll ask you to find the earned value with the BAC and the percentage of work actually done. So those kind of questions will always show up. And these are easy, right? So yeah, this is a basic mistake. Yeah, perfect. Yeah, I know. I know. In fact, you're right. I need a smart pen for this. But in fact, this is a laptop I'm working with without the touchscreen. As I told you, I'm a slightly outdated kind of a guy. I'm an old school guy. So I need to get a real touch tab. This stuff needs to be done on a tab with a stylus. So I don't need a separate equipment. So I'm going to invest in that too, right? So guys like me, it's kind of difficult for me to change, except you need to understand I'm over 50. All right, half a century I've been on this planet, and most of my life I've been doing things differently, and suddenly I have to become digital, right? So yeah, I'm doing it. I'm kind of enjoying it. I'm also like becoming like a young kid again. I'm practicing editing and stuff like that. It's kind of cool. So yeah, I know. Let's see. Question number 12. You've been hired by a large consulting firm to lead an accounting project. You determine the needs of the project and divide the work up into work packages so that you can show how all of it fits into categories. What are you creating? Okay, let's have a look at the answer. Yeah, I think thanks a lot. Thanks a lot, Shilpa. All right, so guys, yeah, so the answer is WBS, right? Very simple. I mean, this is basic. Half the answers they're written in the question itself, right? So sometimes you get questions which has the scenario itself explains what the question is, right? What the answer is, right? So moving on to question number 13, a project manager discovers that a project problem has occurred. The problem has never my mistake. The problem was never discussed during risk planning activities or added to the risk register, and it will now cost the project money. What is the best response? And you have the options to look at. All right, not bad. So I got a very good answer. Some of us answered it, and I also got a very good reasoning for that. I really like that approach. Fantastic. Right. So the point is, what you need to some of you will be surprised. In fact, most of you would be surprised why it is D, because most of us did not get this answer. And yeah, and you're right. Shilpa actually said, well, a couple of us got it right. And one of us actually explained that, well, the risk has actually already occurred. So it's already an issue, right? So if it's already costed you, right, and it was not part of your original, identified risk, then you would not have the money for it. That means it's not part of your contingency reserve. And if it is not part of the contingency reserve, where the hell are you going to get the money from? Because it's already an issue. So none of these things would happen, like add the risk to the risk register. It's not going to happen, right? Stop all project activity and approach the senior management. Well, that's too drastic. Don't take any action. Just accept that there's a problem. Well, the problem has already occurred. So you have to do some kind of a workaround, right? So A, B, C are not the best options. And the project has already occurred. So C can never be the right, because it's no longer a risk. It's already occurred. So now, because it is not part of the contingency reserve, you have to get that extra money from the management reserve. Remember, contingency reserve is for identified risk and management reserve is for the unidentified risks. And tell you something, unidentified risks you cannot prevent because they are unidentified, and therefore they will always occur and they will always be an issue. All right. So very well done. Very good explanations, guys. Not bad at all. Yeah, you're right. So here's a question. This is very nice. See what one of the persons is saying, that I'm not really happy with using management reserve. We need to have a workaround. But here's the trick. Here's the problem. The problem is that workaround is not an option here. So a question you may, so this is not the, who says this is the best answer, but the point is you have to take the best response from the option provided. You can, that is not the perfect thing to do. Workaround is the perfect thing to do, right? And then of course it may or may not cost, and we'll probably figure it out. They have given an indication that it's going to cost you, right? But the point is you have to choose from within the options provided. The question is along with the options. All right. So you're absolutely right. Your concept is right. All right. So question number 14. It has come to your attention that a consultant hired to provide an expert opinion on certain elements of a construction project during the project charter development also has business ties to one of the firms that is bidding on the project. However, both the consultants and the bidding firm have signed non-disclosure agreements with your organization. What should you do? This is interesting. Right? This is interesting. Let's have a look at the answers, guys. Not bad, not bad, not bad, not bad at all. This is what it is. See, just signing a non-disclosure agreement does not make a crime less. There is a possibility of crime, right? So non-disclosure agreement does not mean that there is not a conflict of interest. Non-disclosure agreement simply says that whatever that I learn about your company, when I'm working with you, I'm not going to disclose it to others. But that has nothing to do with conflict of interest. Somebody knows you, somebody decision making is connected to you. You might have an unfair advantage of, getting a assignment, instead of others, a more suitable person. So this is very very difficult situation. So these are the kind of questions, scenario questions, that we need to master. Right, so we need to look at it. And as I told you, that whenever we talk about vendors, sometimes they also put in conflict of interest. All right, so all right, not bad. Very nicely done, guys. Very nicely done. All right.
If you're the kind of a person who loves videos to gain knowledge on PMP, well, look no further. This is the site for you. All you have to do is type pmvideo.pm-pulse.com and you will find on this platform 29 video packages all about PMP. Each of these topics, each of the difficult topics have been covered. Even reviews of different knowledge areas have been covered. And the videos are focused on the richness of content, not the beauty of presentation. And guess what? There is a video package with 200 guided questions also provided. And after some time, I'll probably add another one. So there'll be two sets of 200 guided questions. And the content is simply mastery level. Well, don't take my words for it. Let's have a look inside.
Yeah. So, well, the status could be, well, you know what, we are behind schedule and we are already 1 hour late. We can even say 50% completed and we are already late by 1 hour, right? So how do we talk about it? Well, status right now in this project shows 50% project complete and delayed by 1 hour. What is now? Now is 3 weeks because we are here. We are at this point, right? This is where we are taking the status, progress, and forecast report. So this is the point, which is now, which is 3 weeks. So if we kind of reverse engineer this particular definition of planned cost for planned work that should have been done by now, and we know now is 3 weeks, and we go backwards, basically what it means that as per plan. All right, pretty good. So not bad, not bad. So basically, what does it mean? It basically means if you look at EV, what's the formula for EV? What's the definition for EV? Planned cost for actual work done. So we have a total planned cost, which is BAC, and the actual work done is 13%. Therefore, if I have to find the planned cost for actual work done, I just have to take 13% of this. It's as simple as that. And therefore, the answer is this.
Remember that when it comes to PM videos, all you have to do is type pmvideo.pm-pulse.com on the browser and access all these packages.
Question number 15. You have recently started working as a project manager for a public school construction project. Your analysis shows that the cost estimate for the project seems to be unreasonable and it could take at least 25% more to complete the project. What should you do if your sponsor wants to carry out the project with another project manager in case you refuse to accept it? And let's have a look at the options and let's have a look at the answers. Not bad, not bad. Fantastic. So here, there are two things happening, right? They're playing with their emotions. Like when you see questions like this, some of us may get this feeling, hey, I would resign, man. What the hell, right? So we need to understand that there are a couple of things at play here. They're going to tug at your emotions, but at the same time, we are professionals here. So our job is to keep people informed, transparency. So the best thing to do is, hey, that's sponsor's decision. The sponsor wanted you in the project. That was also his decision. Now he doesn't want you in the project. That's his decision. What's the best you can do? You can submit your detail that why you said so and why do you think it to be so that the other people or anybody who comes there takes an informed decision, which is called proper handover. Very nice. So that's it. So some of us get it wrong, not a problem. Most of us actually got it right. So this is brilliant. Okay, question number 16. You have just been assigned as project manager for a large telecommunication project. This 1-year project is about halfway done. The project team consists of 5 sellers and 20 of your company's employees. You want to understand who's responsible for doing what on the project. Where would you find such information? All right. Actually, it's a very, very simple question, actually. Right? Yeah. Sometimes, absolutely. Yeah. I don't think I should even put the suspense there. Like, it's going to be 100%, right? So, not bad. And yeah, I know some of you guys are thinking, I hope we get questions more like this. Well, not really. Yeah. But well, actually, to be very honest, if you know the subject, it doesn't matter, right? You will know all the answers anyway. All right, so let's move on to question number 17. A project manager is running into problems with the team. People are repeatedly running into trouble over seemingly small problems. Who takes notes at meetings? what dress is appropriate for the office, who people need to notify, and when they take the day off. So they're fighting over these little things. The problem started out small, but as more people run into more problems, the situation is rapidly escalating. This situation is most likely caused by a lack of, and you got the options. And then let's have a look at the answers. Very well done. Fantastic. This is cool. Wow, man. This is nice. This is nice. Very nice. It is a lack of ground rules, right? So, ground rules, and just to let you know, guys, instead of ground rules, if they had something known as team charter, which is an output of the process called plan, what do you call plan resource, what is that? Planned resource management. Yeah. So planned resource management, it has an output called team charters. And that is what's supposed to have ground rules as one of the things. So instead of ground rules, you might even find team charter, and that would have been the answer. So I just want to make an association that ground rules is the right answer. But in case you find team charter in such a situation, team charter would also work here because team charter is supposed to contain ground rules. All right. So just wanted to make an association. So you are very well informed. All right. Very well done, guys. Very impressive. Question number 18. Your manager asks you to present project schedules, budgets, and other documentation from projects that you have managed for other companies in the past. What is the best response? Okay. Okay, absolutely perfect. So there is a very standard rule. So you guys got it right. But the explanation is for the others who did not really participate in answering. And that is that, basically, as a project manager, you need to always take a higher ground, ethical grounds, right? So that's always there. And you will, in no matter which, when you do the exams, you are bound to come across certain ethical questions, right? This is one of those, right? So and these are easy if you don't get involved in the emotions that they're trying to build up, right? So not bad.
Imagine a course that can cut down your PMP preparation time from weeks to just 16 hours. Yes, you heard me right. This is PMP Dash, the PMP Examination Readiness course, the 16-hour wonder. This PMP Dash, please understand, is not a 35 contact hours training. This is going to assume that you've already got the 35 contact hours training. You've already applied for the exams and that now you're struggling to find time to study. Well, PMP Dash comes in handy just there. All right, so what is PMP Dash? PMP Dash is PMP Exams Readiness course. It is going to make you ace PMP exam in just 16 hours of preparation. The most important definitions, concepts that regularly show up on PMP exams, the most important ethos on which the scenario questions are based, most important tips and tricks which are really relevant for your PMP exams, and it is also going to contain 200 PMP guided questions. All of this would be discussed in just 16 hours of PMP Dash, by the end of which you will not only be ready for PMP exams, you will ace it. There are so many people who have already cleared it and they are going gaga about PMP Dash. Not only that, PMP Dash will also give you access to Ninja Notes audios and exam simulator. I need you to practice just for a couple of days and listen to those wonderful PM Ninja audios and give the exams. The best time for you to attend PMP Dash is just days before your PMP exams. We have a huge schedule, at least 5 to 6 sessions in November as well as December. I'm going to make sure that more and more people pass PMP exams. They should not have any stress, any kind of a doubt about PMP. Join this session. just go on to my site, which is pm-pulse.com/workshops.aspx, and go through the entire schedule for PMP Dash. I really look forward to seeing you at PMP Dash in one of the sessions. This is your best bet for acing PMP exams before December end 2020. See you there.
So let's go on to question number 19. You're managing a project to build a new wing into a local school building over a summer break. One night, the school and your construction site are destroyed by a tornado. Your client demands that you continue work despite the disaster, but you consult the contract and find a clause that states that you are not responsible for any more work. This is refers to as, and I think some people already wrote it. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay. All right. So most of you, okay, one of you got it right. Oh, yeah, I knew somebody would ask that. And I think a lot of people, especially who are God-fearing, they think it's an act of God. Well, there's a huge difference between act of God and force majeure. And the difference is actually political. So the right answer is force majeure, which is basically a French term. And no, it's not just a PMP term. Actually, it's a legal term, even in India. You use force majeure. You don't use act of God. That words are not even there in UK. US used to use act of God. I mean, they still use certain words like act of God. Their politicians would use that. Even our politicians used it very recently. But that's not the right term. That's not a legal term. So if you write a legal contract, you cannot use the act of God, because there are two things to it. One is who's God, right? And then if you're talking about act of God, then you should apply that country's religious, whatever book that is, right? So that becomes a very big thing. And yeah, actually, there is a movie, but not the Indian movie. In fact, that movie was made in UK, and that movie is actually based on a real incident, because an insurance company actually wanted to swindle by not paying insurance to a fisherman who lost his boat. Didn't want to make any money to that person, so he said it's an act of God. Look, it's written in the contract, act of God. And he said, then what was the whole idea of going for the insurance? So he said, well, that's this thing. And the name of the movie is The Man Who Sued God. You can even find it on YouTube, at least in pieces, right? It's called The Man Who Sued God. It's a brilliant movie, and it's literally taken from a real incident. It actually happened. Now, because it is part of the legal contract, the person said that, and that was, I'm talking about UK, which is a very religious country. It's a Protestant, evangelical society. It's a very, very religious kind of a country, right? And their state was not very separate from the Bible. So they were not secular at that point of time. So they say it's an act of God. So we need to do this. So he says, okay, so everybody believes in God, so I'll sue God, because why did he choose me, to suffer? So it became a very disturbing thing. Even the Vatican, everybody had to, come on to it. And then there was a political aspect of who's God, so it became very, very dirty. And then they decided that we are going to use a French word, which simply means an inexplicable force, an inexplicable force that you could not predict. And I'm sorry it took so much of time. You guys really need to know what a force majeure is all about. All right. So for everything that we are doing, there's a huge management history. All right. So the name of the movie is The Man Who Sued God. So whenever you get a chance, have a look at that movie. It's really going to blow your mind, but it's a real thing, right? And like in US, insurance companies still swindle. Fortunately, in India and many other countries, there's a very powerful regulation which does not allow these kind of things to happen. But even in India, in the early 30s and 40s, when insurance was privatized, that's when all these kind of swindles would happen, right? So now it's called force majeure, inexplicable law, force, and it has nothing to go with any religion whatsoever, right? So that's the reason why. Sorry for the long explanation. All right. Now, sorry. Question number 20. You are consulting project manager and are reviewing the scope of your project and realize that several requirements are not measurable. However, they are tied to milestone payments you will receive for work on this project. What is the best way to handle this? It's not as easy a question as you would imagine, but still give it your best shot. Yeah, absolutely. You are the vendor. Absolutely. Okay. Notify the stakeholder, because see, here's the thing. Let's read this question and understand what it is. As I told you, this is not an easy question. You are a consulting project manager and are reviewing the scope of your project and realize that several requirements are not measurable. Now, the point is, if they are not measurable, what does it mean? That means you would not come to know when you are done, right? So, for example, if I tell you, I want you to drastically reduce my cost of operation, it's a requirement which is qualitative. It does not tell me when. So you have to tell me that if once my per transaction cost drops to this many dollars per week or something, that is for me is reduced. So till I don't have any measurable, I don't even know whether I'm done or not. Now here's the thing: you don't even know what is the stage of the project right now. And if I look at it very carefully, it is actually the beginning stages, because it says that, however, they are tied to the milestone payments. That means the payments have not yet started. So you're in the beginning of the project. You see, you have to really, really think into it. And it says that, man, if I start this project, you see, and the requirements are not well defined, and the payments are based on my achieving certain, and I would not even come to know when I've done. So my payments will not come to me. So this is nothing about deleting requirements. You can't do that, right? So you can't go for a contract modification because you're just reviewing the scope at this moment of time, right? So the best thing to do is escalate it, and that is notify the project stakeholders that the requirements have not been elaborated adequately and must be reviewed by the team. So the best thing you can do, because we don't even know how much you've gone ahead with the project, and from the looks of it, you're still talking about the milestones, that you're probably at the beginning of the requirements itself. You are in the requirement stage itself, right? So this is a good time for you to escalate, right? So you're not going to delete requirements. You don't need to modify that. Okay, D, I don't think anybody answered, right? So nobody answered D, right? So that's not going to help, right? So yeah, so it's a pretty initial stage. So the best thing is to escalate it, right? It is not an easy question. Now let me tell you something very interesting about this. Can I ask buyer's team to review the requirements as I am on the seller? No, yeah, you can do that, but that's not an option provided here, right? So again, you have to be within the options provided. You have to choose the best from within the options. You cannot step outside the option, right? So now here's the thing. Whenever we do, the whole idea about these kind of questions is, whenever you are not able to come to the right answer, always go for elimination. Yeah, it is a difficult question. So that's one of the reasons what I do is, that's the reason I started this webinar weekdays, where I guide you personally through certain questions. And one of the reasons I started doing it is because the absolutely horrible kind of questions I'm seeing people post all across the internet. And I became so tired trying to answer everybody's question, telling them this is not done, this is not right. And people then get into an argument. No, I think it is this. Then I think, man, I'm putting so much of an effort for peanuts. So why don't I actually make it part of my webinars so I can actually talk to a lot of people at the same time? So I think that's better because it's very surprising that the questions, you see, I tell you what, when you make a very big a question set, you're bound to make mistakes, right? It happens. Just imagine when you answer 200 questions, you'll be in trouble. Imagine making those questions and then making, 4 sets out of it, 5 sets out of it, 6 sets out of it, and trying to make sure that they don't get repeated. It's a mammoth task. Some of them will get wrong, but I'm talking about constantly people giving wrong questions in forums. I thought I'll do this, right? And that's why I give you a mix of difficult, very easy. Basically, I'm trying to replicate the kind of environment that you're going to see in PMP. So I want you guys to be ready and be prepared. So these are the experiences I wanted to share with you. All right. So thanks a lot, guys. You've done a pretty good job. Our 20 questions are over, right? And if you have any question and answer, let me go back. There was a question that somebody asked, and I said I'll answer it later. So let me just kind of go up there. And in the meanwhile, guys, anybody else who has a question or any kind of an emotional outburst, go ahead, right? Okay, so yeah, the lengthy question. Yeah, absolutely. Somebody has actually written, Shilpa, she's written, Maneesh, how should I approach lengthy questions? Should we read the last line first, like the high school trick, or it doesn't matter? What's the best approach? And you're absolutely right. Certain things works very well the way we did in high school. In fact, what I'm going to tell you is whenever, now watch this listen to this very carefully. If you get a question which has got more than one paragraph or maybe 3 paragraphs, basically it looks like a big question with 2 or 3 paragraphs. Yeah, sometimes you just the question body. I'm not talking about the options. I'm talking about the question body itself would have sometimes even 4 paragraphs, right? I'll tell you those questions are very easy. But what you need to do is that don't start reading the questions directly, because then you'll forget, because you'll have to read the options and then find where do they fit in the whole scenario. My suggestion is forget about the last line. Yeah, you can read the last line, but at the same time read the options and then read the question, because once you've read the last line and you know the options, because options are usually smaller for a wordy question, and then when you read the wordy question, you will actually figure out, okay, you can even start eliminating this would not happen or that would not happen, and oh yeah, that's the right answer. So by the time you finished reading the body of the question, you got the answer, right? So Shilpa, you're bang on, right? It's perfectly right that some things work very well, right? Just the way what we did in school and colleges, right? It works well. All right, so there are no further questions. So I can smell dinner because my wife has cooked something really nice for me. And yeah, I think she took a kindness towards me because I was a little bit ill for a few days, right? So these are one of those rare moments when she shows some kindness towards me, all right? So I'm going to enjoy my dinner, guys, and I would really like to thank you for your presence. Thank you very much, guys. I know time means a lot to you, and you decided to give it to me, and that too on a Monday evening, the most difficult day of the month, right? So, guys, thank you very much. And if you guys are interested, just check out my new website called PM Videos not videos, just PM Video .pm-pulse.com. Just have a look if you like something, and that one's also going to have a lot of free videos also. I like to give a lot of free stuff, so just like in audios, there are a lot of free stuff there. There'll be a lot of free stuff even in videos. I like to do that. So see if you like something, and I'll keep on adding. By the end of this week, there'll be a lot of stuff there, right? So just see if you like. Good enough. All right, guys, take care. Yeah, and I'm going to end the session now. Good night, good afternoon, and have a nice day for the different time zones.